好，傳媒朋友得未？
Friends of the media, are we ready? If yes, let's start the press conference. We'll take one last photo. Welcome to the House Committee end of session press conference. The chairperson, Ms. Dory Lee, and the deputy chairman, Mr. Ma Fengkuok, will deliver the opening remarks. And then we will open the floor for questions about the work of the House Committee. First, we will hear from Ms. Dory Lee, the chairperson. Friends of the media, members of the public, good afternoon. Today, we would like to brief you on the House Committee's work in this legislative session. First, I invite the Deputy Chairman, Mr. Ma Fengkuok, to report on the scrutiny of bills and subsidiary legislation and the study of policy issues. Mr. Ma, please.
Good afternoon, friends of the media. I would like to report to you the work of the House Committee within the past session concerning bills and subsidiary legislation. In this session, the House Committee held 27 meetings in total for bills, together with the 4 bills to be read the first time at tomorrow's Legislative Council meeting. The administration introduced 37 bills this year, 30 included in the legislative program submitted to the LegCo by the administration early in the year. 7 were not included in that legislative program, including the District Council's Amendment Bill 2023 to improve district governance and reform the district councils. There were also the Stamp Duty Amendment Residential Properties Bill 2023 and Stamp Duty Amendment Stock Transfers Bill 2023. They were proposed in the policy address to moderate the draconian measures and cut stock stamp duty rates. The following bills will receive their first reading tomorrow at the Council meeting: Nurses Registration Amendment Bill 2023, Electronic Traffic Enforcement Miscellaneous Amendments Bill 2023, Extension of Government Leases Bill, and Building Management Amendment Bill 2023. The House Committee also considered bills moved by members, namely Ningnan University Bill 2023, the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology Amendment Bill 2023, and the Chinese University of Hong Kong Amendment Bill 2023. All 3 of them have been passed by the Legislative Council. For Bills Committees, within this session, 25 Bills Committees were set up to scrutinize 23 government bills and 3 private members' bills. For bills passed after deliberation by Bills Committees, other than the District Council's Amendment Bill 2023 I mentioned earlier, there were also the Product Equal Responsibility Amendment Bill 2023, which regulates disposable tableware and other plastic products. The Road Tunnels Government Amendment Bill 2023 that seeks to divert the traffic of the 3 harbour crossing tunnels, as well as the regional flag and regional emblems Amendment Bill 2023 that prescribes the use of Hong Kong SAR flags and emblems. Members have always been concerned about the timing that the administration introduces the bills. In the first half of the year, the administration introduced 21 bills, out of which 5 were not listed in the legislative program, and 16 were submitted in the second half of the year, with 2 not appearing on the legislative program. On the other hand, 7 bills from the legislative program have not yet been introduced into the LegCo, including the Dentist Registration Bill, Courts Remote Hearing Bill, and the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Amendment Bill. Within this session, when it comes to subsidiary legislation, members considered a total of 131 items, 1 technical memorandum, and 14 proposed resolutions submitted by the administration. The House Committee set up 10 subcommittees to consider in great details 23 items of subsidiary legislation, 1 technical memorandum, and 1 proposed resolution. 3 such items of subsidiary legislation were related to the implementation of the municipal solid waste charging, while one item of subsidiary legislation and a technical memorandum we studied were related to environmental impact assessments. The House Committee also set up two subcommittees, to study the administration's proposals to improve district governance and one proposal concerning senior judicial appointment, respectively. Members continued to make suggestions during the session. 10 subcommittees were set up to study policy issues. The areas covered include population policies, manpower resources, welfare and economic development, etc. As the platform to deal with the commencement of work by the subcommittees to study policy issues, the House Committee has always played an active role. To allow the subcommittees on the waiting list to roll into action as soon as possible, the House Committee decided to activate all the 10 slots, and the terms of reference and the scopes of study of subcommittees were rationalized. Subcommittees that started their work within this session included the Subcommittee on the Development of the Northern Metropolis, the Subcommittee on the Promotion of New Industrialization, and the Subcommittee on Promoting Carer-Centric Policies. Currently, there are 8 subcommittees on the waiting list. 7 set up under the House Committee, and 1 set up under a panel. For the details related to the figures mentioned, friends of the media, please refer to the leaflet issued by the Secretariat. Thank you.
For this legislative session, it marks the second year since the system of patriots administering Hong Kong was put in place. This is also the year normal life is back after Hong Kong weathered the pandemic. Members of the Legislative Council have stayed true to the conviction of delivering what people called for as they spoke out for residents in a rational, pragmatic, and candid way. This year, that is, they spoke out for residents. This year also starts a new chapter in district governance, with the district council election held last Sunday. To fully implement the principle of patriots administering Hong Kong in district governance, provide institutional guarantees that district councils will serve districts and reflect people's sentiments as they are meant to, and strengthen the top-level design of district governance. The government rolled out proposals about improving governance at the district level on May 2nd this year. Given the importance and urgency of the matter, the HC decided on May 5th to form a subcommittee to start right away to study the key aspects of the proposals. After the District Council's Amendment Bill 2023 received its first reading in late May, the subcommittee turned into a Bills Committee, which proceeded without delay to scrutinize the clauses of the bill. The subcommittee and the Bills Committee held 11 meetings in total, finishing the scrutiny in a reasonable time frame. On July 6th, the bill was passed by LegCo. That enabled work about the election to go ahead smoothly. This fully shows the current term LegCo's new style of pragmatism and efficiency. Scrutinizing bills is LegCo's key responsibility. As the Deputy Chairman just said, factoring in the 4 bills that will receive their first reading at the Council meeting tomorrow or December 13th, the government submitted in this session a total of 37 bills, a jump of 48% from the 25 tabled last year. LegCo has scrutinized and passed over 30 bills so far in this session, way up from 17 last year. The bills passed this year include many that help Hong Kong and its residents. Moreover, 2 bills about improving taxi service will resume second reading debate at the Council meeting tomorrow. During this session, the Executive and the Legislature have delivered impressive results for the people through legislation. LegCo members and officials had rational and sensible discussions in seeking consensus through exchanging views to enact more sophisticated and practicable laws. Take the Residential Care Homes Legislation Miscellaneous Amendments Bill 2022 as an example. Members raised concerns about the staff shortage at care homes. In response, the government agreed to push back the effective date of the staffing ratio for nurses and health workers by 2 years, and to launch several measures to strengthen training and boost labor supply in the sector. Another example is the Development, Town Planning, Lands and Works Miscellaneous Amendments Bill 2022, which is about speeding up land development and fixing housing problems. The Bills Committee held 13 meetings with the government. Taking into account members' comments, the government proposed many amendments, including some to protect the public's right to make representations before the Town Planning Board, and promised to draw up administrative guidelines to circumscribe departmental powers to use resumed land for temporary purposes. These examples show members do not just approve government bills on the nod. While efficiency matters, members also serve as active gatekeepers and let the government know what people think to ensure laws enacted are more in line with public expectations. The policy address this year sets out a number of legislative proposals, including legislation for Article 23 of the Basic Law, attracting companies to redomicile in Hong Kong, and patent box tax incentives. These proposals involve different areas, with many about people's well-being. In the coming year, I see heavy workload in terms of the bills for LegCo to scrutinize. Thorough in their pursuit of results, members will examine every clause in bills with care so as to put people's well-being and Hong Kong's overall interest first as they dedicate themselves to work with a rational and pragmatic approach. Members will support and monitor the executive in taking forward legislation. I hope public officers can explain their proposals effectively to the community and to LegCo for bills to go through legislation smoothly. Executive-legislature relations. Good relations between the executive and legislature and healthy interactions between these two branches are crucial to good governance. I'm pleased to see the attention the current chief executive pays to engagement with members. The CE proposed anti-chamber exchange sessions shortly after he took office for officials and members to meet regularly for wide-ranging discussions of what people think. Those sessions also let members give advice on policy making. So far, 12 such exchange sessions have taken place. Members and officials shared thoughts with one another on different policy matters at each session that saw frank and cordial exchanges. In May this year, the CE launched a new initiative by holding interactive question and answer sessions for exchanges with members from strategic, national, and global perspectives. These Q&A sessions helped forge unity between the executive and the legislature as they worked hand in hand to deliver real results for people's well-being. Healthy interactions between the executive and the legislature were also on display during the joint visit outside Hong Kong involving both officials and members after normal travel was back in this legislative session. In April this year, the CE took all LegCo members on a visit to 4 mainland cities of the Greater Bay Area. This is the largest joint visit of the executive and the legislature in the HKSAR's history. Afterwards, the panel on health service, the panel on home affairs, culture and sports, the panel on environmental affairs, and the panel on welfare service also secured the HC's consent to go on study visits to mainland cities with relevant policy bureaus and departments. In mid-July this year, the president led a LegCo delegation to Fujian. Afterwards, members worked as one team in putting together the study report for the CE to consider. Many ideas proposed were adopted by the policy address. I hope that as officials work under the CE's leadership, the executive and the legislature can collaborate even more closely for members and stakeholders to take part early in policy making and give the government a good idea of what people think quickly. This helps the government deliver on people's priorities and address people's concerns to give them an ever stronger sense of gain and happiness. President Xi Jinping set out clear directions for Hong Kong's development in his key speech on July 1st last year. Now is the critical time for Hong Kong to break new ground and achieve another leap forward. Meanwhile, our post-COVID economic recovery faces many challenges. I'm convinced that as long as the executive and the legislature work in unity as they leverage the strength of national support and global connections under one country, two systems, and put Hong Kong and our country's interests first, they will overcome any challenge in taking Hong Kong forward. Last but not least, I thank the staff at our Secretariat and the Legal Service Division and all electrical members and all electrical staff members for their assistance at the House Committee over the past year. I also thank friends of the media for joining us at this press conference. Now I'm happy to take questions from the media. We now open the floor for questions. Those who wish to put questions, please first let us know your media outlet before asking the questions. I'm from Oriental Daily. About legislation for Basic Law Article 23. So will we get that done in the next legislative session? What's the latest progress? Now, on the district council election, the voter turnout was just 1.19 million. And that's actually lower than previous levels of 1.2 million. But election expenses have doubled. The government and political parties went all out. How would you rate this voter turnout? And how does the central government see this? The DAB scored most of the seats at district councils. Mr. Really, are you happy with the result? Are you worried that other parties may not be happy at so many seats that the DAB bagged? Can you first raise questions about the House Committee and leave other questions later? After all, this press conference is about the House Committee. Now, on Basic Law Article 23, I'm sure friends of the media and the public know that we have a constitutional duty to legislate for Article 23. The chief executive made it clear that the government is looking at this to discharge our constitutional duty. The legislation will be done within 2024. Mr. Paul Lam, the Secretary for Justice, attended electoral meetings and on other public occasions. Mr. Lam said he would do his best to get the legislation done by next year and explain the bill to people. Safeguarding national security is the shared aspiration of the public. This will help ensure stability for Hong Kong's development. The government has also pledged that it would consult the public. There would be enough time for different sectors to put forward their views. After the bill is tabled, members will scrutinize the bill with care, and we will let the government know people's thoughts. I believe the government will explain the proposal effectively for electoral members and the average citizen. The government needs to explain the legislative intent and the clauses so that we don't get misunderstanding that ends up holding back the legislative work. Electoral members will also put national security and our country's development interest first. This legislative process will be an open and transparent process, and I'm fully confident in the legislative process. Mr. Ma, the chairperson made it clear that safeguarding national security, sovereignty, and development interests is our constitutional responsibility. Now, we have the national security law. It covers part of what's needed for national security, but national security goes beyond that. We still need laws to cover the rest. So for the SAR government and the public in Hong Kong, we have to see this as a constitutional responsibility. Once the government proposes the bill, electoral members will scrutinize the bill with care. We will have a transparent process where electoral members let the government know what people think, and we get it right with the legislative work. A reminder to members, friends of the media, please focus your questions on the work of the House Committee. Other questions? I'm from Singtao Daily. For the anti-chamber exchange sessions, there were 12 sessions. The sessions started to cover the same topics. Fewer electoral members are taking part in these sessions. Will these sessions keep going, or will we have a different approach for members to let the government know what people think? Next year, we will have a new chairman and deputy chairman. Ms. Darley, are you going to go for another year as the chairman of the HC? After all, we know you have a busy schedule on the MPCSC. Now, we had 12 anti-chamber exchange sessions since the government took office. In this legislative session, there were 7. Each time, a secretary or deputy secretary of department led the exchange. I took part in those sessions. Heads of departments, heads of bureaus, they led their teams to LegCo. That shows they valued exchanges with LegCo members. We had wide-ranging discussions. There were arguments that early in policy making, the government should consult LegCo members. Anti-chamber exchange sessions are a good way, and these sessions have achieved their goals in late November. We focused on a range of issues: poverty relief, subdivided units, and other quality of life issues. The sessions worked. In late November, 60 members attended, so that's hardly a small number. More than 10 officials, 10 to 15 officials joined that session. We had a lively discussion. Even after the scheduled time, members and officials kept discussing the issues. So I don't think just a few people took part. So that's 60 electoral members, 10 officials. They split into 4 to 5 groups for discussions. Electoral members also value each exchange with officials. They will continue to put people's interest first. The more chances for members to speak up for people, the better. And we don't mind engaging with officials by other means. Now, on how to make anti-chamber exchanges even better for more interactions, the deputy chairman and I meet with the chief secretary for administration regularly. We put that on our agenda for discussion too. And we're happy to listen to views from LegCo members, the government, and the public. So if people have ideas, you're welcome to let us know your thoughts. Let's see if Mr. Ma has anything to add. As I see it, for new LegCo members, the sessions work for them. They don't get many chances to interact with officials up close in an informal setting, in a candid way. When we have many people in the same chamber discussing matters, I couldn't catch all the conversation going on, but I see those exchange sessions as effective. Now, going forward, we will find out what other LegCo members think about the sessions. If people have ideas in mind, we will pass on the message to the government to see how we can improve the arrangement. Overall, I think the exchange sessions worked, and the response we got is positive. Now, on whether I will run for another term as HC chairperson. The HC chairperson and deputy chairman are key roles. They are a gateway between the legislature and the executive. They also help let the chief secretary know what people think, and also help bring public opinion into the government's decision making. If members trust me, I'll be happy to keep doing the work. But on running for another term, this is actually up to members, so we will decide that later. Deputy Chairman, anything to add? Nothing in particular. I've been serving as the deputy chairperson of the House Committee. I help the chairperson with the HC's work. It wasn't about me. Fellow electoral members encouraged me to take on the role. They thought I had the experience, so I was happy to take on the role. if there's support in the future, I will give it some thought that is about continue to serve in this role. My role in electrical and my role in the NPC are mutually complementary. We need to better integrate into national development. But the president of Macau's Legislative Council is also a member of the NPC, that is NPCSC. The deputy chairman and I will continue to help bring the legislature and the executive closer and help people understand our country's policies. Any other questions from the media? If not, anything to add from Ms. Starley? If not, I will address the question about district council. Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Sorry, the speaker is off mic. Well, the overall turnout rate is such that we have got 1.19 billion turning out, and slightly worse than the votes gathered by the pro-establishment camp, namely 1.2 million. For the DAB, you have got the majority of the seats. Are you happy with that? And will it cause dissatisfaction on the part of the other parties? For the turnout rate, I'm happy with that, and in fact, I'm always at the forefront in electioneering. To me, I think it is a good and healthy electoral process. In different constituencies, the competition was keen. And for the candidates, like previously, they worked throughout the day to gather support. Well, what is important is that we go back to a healthy and rational mode of competition. So we try to compare our promises, our performance, etc., instead of going after an unlawful route or advocating violence. Well, this is a new electoral system. When we have a new one, it takes time for people to get used to it and to understand it. I think the key question is the DC system, its relationship with the care teams, with the 3 district committees, etc. They should work hand in hand so as to enhance district governance so that it will be escalated to a new height, so that we can enhance the public's sense of satisfaction and sense of well-being and happiness. I believe that district councils will be given even more weight by the public. For the performance of the DAB, I think we have got 400 plus seats. It doesn't mean that we have got a total of 470 seats in the district councils. So bearing that in mind, it is not true to say that we obtained the majority of the seats. We'll continue to work together with other groups so as to achieve good governance. That was what we did in the past, and we will do it again in the future. We'll continue to be humble, and we'll listen to the public views, and we will treasure the trust that you have in us. All right, if there are no other questions, then that's the end of today's press briefing. Thank you, Chair and Deputy Chair of the House Committee. Thank you.